Around the grounds, around the grounds, around the grounds in Christian education. Hey!
All right, welcome back to Around the Grounds in Christian Education. Thanks, James. You've handed the mic and the screen back to me.
Straight back.
Let's jump into our first, trend we've seen that's been happening. And this has been happening, I wouldn't say in the last week, but this year there's been a huge surge in Christian school enrolments. Apparently a 30% increase over a decade in New South Wales.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of Christian schools are really seeing their numbers double due to a values-driven demand, which isn't a surprise given, everything we're seeing happening in society. I think Christian families and non-Christian families, for that matter, are seeing that they still want that to exist in some form for their child's education. And so there isn't a surprise those numbers are increasing. And that's, I think, naturally flowing into the homeschooling space, that parents are wanting something different again, but numbers in this public system are declining.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I've sort of only worked in Christian independent context or Catholic schools. And, the whole reason of why there is faith-based schools is that it's values-driven. It is that faith-based. And as much as, we've talked multiple times about how that has been sort of, the government oversight and the agendas that are even pushed in schools, there are still many that try to hold on to, or at least providing something different to the state or the governmental system. And I know with some of the schools that I've worked in that it isn't just Christian families, right? There is an increase of not affiliated or non-believing or even sort of other faiths that are putting their kids into these Christian schools because of, what's being pushed, or the lack of discipline or the lack of consistency that are in the state system. And this perception that, the Christian schools, at least I'll teach my kids good values, sort of things. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, the societal push to have kick God out of society in every area that we're seeing in Australia and around the world is having an impact on parents' decisions on where they send their kids, because the Christian schools are kind of the last sort of beacon in society that has that moral compass of, a Christian understanding or worldview, to whatever degree that is. And so that's, a shift we're seeing, and inevitably that's leading to more government involvement in how Christian schools can now operate,
Yeah.
The question of Christian schools just being able to hire Christian staff is under, discussion, which is horrible, but the government's trying to initiate all these revisions to the laws to make it harder for schools to truly maintain a Christian fabric and hold on to that. And so that's under attack. And I pray for schools to, stand firm in that and have people in authority that are fighting for schools, which I know there are. There are people in that space working to keep that schools right
protected
to hire based on their faith and values. Big news coming at the end of the year. A lot of talk recently over Australia's social media ban. They've included YouTube, apparently due to, wasn't initially mentioned in the sort of the main social media, things that kids are getting on, but YouTube's been, surprise, surprise, thrown in the mix. So, I have a strong view on this. I don't like the idea that government's pushing age verification on these programs. I recognize social media has caused a lot of terror and trauma and devastation in young people. But then the question we should be asking, from my view, is it the government's responsibility or the parents?
Yeah, exactly.
I side with the parents' responsibility.
Yeah.
And, I think the deeper undertone, if we go a little bit deeper and think about the critical thinking elements of this, the Trojan horse is laying the foundation for full digital ID requirements for everyone.
Yeah.
That's where I sit.
And that, I think that's a huge concern, especially for, these are students, kids underage, right? There's issues with consent here. And it's just becoming more and more of, again, that government oversight, that sort of government infiltrating inside of the home. And there's certain things that adults can't do until they're 18. And so why are we able to have this oversight, these digital sort of, whether it be face recognition or other sort of means in which it needs to be ID based for under 16-year-olds, that is my first concern in this space. And then, yeah, exactly. The responsibility is on the parent at the end of the day. And our kids aren't allowed to have social media. They do have YouTube to, they watch it, or they, Noah likes to make little edits in the different things that he's creative with, but with that, we oversee all of it, and it's no YouTube in their rooms on their own. It's only if we're watching it together as a family, or whatever it is, or in open spaces. And so that's our responsibility. That's our sort of decisions, and there's no need at this age for them to have social media. So that's sort of a protection thing that we're choosing. But again, it's on the parent. There are already, the social media platforms have their age recommendations, if kids are having accounts that are created, and that means they're lying about their ages or whatever it is, at the end of the day, it is on the parent.
And so, I think people that sit on the side that share my point of view on it will say, it's obviously opening the door to more invasive control of what we can and can't do. The Trojan horse of a digital ID, saying, well, we need to now know for adults, how old are you? Well, you've got to submit your ID.
Yeah.
And that's already starting to happen now.
Yeah.
Today it's YouTube. Tomorrow it's requiring a digital ID to read a blog or access a website.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think those on the other side see it very clearly. Those on the others are just thinking child protection and safety, which we will support, but it's the underlying things that are happening behind the scenes that it's opening the door to do. A student of mine actually said, I can't get onto, was it Charlie Kirk talk show or whatever one of his links is. And I tried it and I couldn't actually access the website. If you don't know Charlie Kirk, American guy, active in the political space, particularly on, conservative issues and things. CharlieKirk.com works, but I couldn't do CharlieKirkShow.com. I think that was it.
Yeah,
and so I thought it was blocked in Australia. You can't access it. And so I think that it feels like the digital fences are being just set up and becoming more intense.
Yeah.
And so, for education, I mean, it's not to say that kids won't be able to watch something on YouTube. I know there's a difference between creating an account and having an account on there than watching it, but still it's opening the door to a digital space where ID is required and things are being tracked.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk
tracking,
about
right?
it.
It's that tracking. Yeah, which
It's
brings
the
us back
tracking.
to COVID days with the QR codes. Where are you? Scan in here, scan in there. We need to know everywhere that you've been.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that's something to be aware of. I often think like places like America, I can't see anything like that being rolled out because of the fears of government overreach. Just the obvious, like, no, you don't have the ability to tell us what our kids can and can't do. That's our responsibility. So watch this space. It's rolled out in the UK. Australia's following suit like it normally does.
Yep. Follow someone. If it's not, UK, it's then following America.
Yeah. So
One of
hold
the
down
two.
America. I know you will. Other global highlights happening around the world. Apparently, there are 300 million plus students homeschooled globally, because of the pandemic, should I say, which has really invigorated and driven that surge in numbers that we talk about each week, which is meant for the normalization of it. There's so much digital tech support for homeschooling families, which has also seen the rise of micro schools and pods and things happening in that space as well, which is a whole new market happening where parents are they're doing the homeschooling thing, but then they're going somewhere to meet with other kids in small groups and learning that way, which is very flexible to their lifestyle. And so we're seeing that start to take off. And also, nations are increasing homeschool access. I know in Brazil, there's a big case happening now in the Supreme Court with a mother's, right to homeschool their child. Poland, South Africa. But on the other hand, you've got others tightening, like Germany, Spain, and Sweden. So I think the shift is happening at such a fast rate. Governments are trying to regulate and police how it looks and works. So, I think it's wherever you are in the world listening, watch what's happening in your country because things are moving. There's shifts happening.
Yeah. It's ironic that, COVID, was about so much control and depending on how you look at it, is it the testing of freedom? Is there something, bigger that it's sort of sussing out and, time will tell. But as a result of sending everyone home, during COVID for school that parents realized, oh, I could do this, like, or they're doing this sort of stuff at school. I don't want them doing
They're
that.
teaching my child what? Yeah.
So there's this
Huh.
whole irony around, they've sent them home for this control, and yet they've lost, and it's doubled since COVID, because I definitely believe because it's for two reasons. Parents, families have realized, hey, I can do this. More and more families or adults are able to work from home, and so therefore are able to provide and be present to homeschool their kids. But also, I believe very strongly that half of the parents are looking at the stuff that their kids were doing and going, all right, I don't agree with this, or they're just moving too slowly, or this isn't suited to my kid, or like, and so it's it's not a surprise that 3 million plus since COVID.
Yeah, 300 million.
300 million. Oh, 300 million. Yeah, wow.
That's just globally. Yeah. So big shift happening. So that wraps up today's episode. I appreciate you, James, for being in the hot seat and asking the questions to me.
No, I appreciate you sharing your story, the founder's story. I think with everything, it's really important for us to understand, or for anyone to understand, where we've come from and the why behind what we do at Transformation Network and in KTA. And for many, there's going to be that connection to your story and the why to that it lands and it makes sense, and it makes sense. And so anyone who's listened and wants to learn a bit more about Kale or about what we do at Kingdom Thinkers, iProject, Thinkers Academy, Transformation Network, go and check out our website at thetransformationnetwork.org.au. Download a prospectus, book in a free call. We'll be happy to have a chat and tell you a little bit more about what we do and if it's a good fit for you and your family. But this has been the Make School Great Again podcast, where education meets eternity, discipleship starts at home, and students learn to zoom out from a 33,000 foot perspective to the world. Thanks again, Kale, for sharing the backstory of the Transformation Network. Looking forward to the next time we connect.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Around the grounds, around the grounds.